Welcome to Sentinel Strength. I'm your host, Nick Humble. Got a good show for you tonight. Got a friend of mine on, Dave Barnes. A lot of guys that are going to watch this down the road are going to know who he is. I wanted to hit a few things tonight. So I've gotten pretty political over the last 16 or 10 weeks. And so I'm kind of going to back off it. Just I'm sick of it. I'm sick of beating the dead horse. What's going to happen is going to happen. And it doesn't matter whether I beat it to death or not every week. It's not going to change. So I'm kind of over it. And I really want to refocus on talking about a lot of other stuff and people being resilient and what guys are doing after they retire out of the military and some of the things that they're doing and some of the things they're finding success in to see if other people can find success. Today I signed on with Phorm. If you guys don't know what that company is, a supplement company owned by Andy Frisella. It is an awesome company and they have great conservative values. He has a podcast called Woke AF. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's great. So I signed on as an ambassador with those guys, and it's a great program. And so I'm going to start promoting that company here, man. I think those guys do an awesome thing, and they have an awesome supplement line. So if you're looking for supplements, man, reach out to me, and we will get you hooked up with Phorm. All right. It's been a slow news week. I said I don't want to beat the dead horse, man. It's all been about Biden and his sinking ship, and I think they set that dude up tonight to fail again just so they could get him out, but it is what it is. It's not going to change, right? They want the dude out. They now know that he is a detriment, and the only reason they want him out is because he's getting his ass handed to him in the polls. So anyway, he's going to do what he's going to do there, and it's not going to change. So without further ado, man, I'm going to get into it. So Dave Barnes. Dave Barnes retired after 25 years of service. He spent 18 of those 25 years in special forces. He deployed to 3 different war zones, combat zones in the global war on terror, Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan, Operation Enduring Freedom, the Philippines. In 2002, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 11, 13, and 14. He conducted a lot of partner force training and stuff in Thailand, Korea, all over Southeast Asia. And then he still serves as a contracted advisor to the National Guard Special Forces Unit, I believe, in Utah. So when he retired, he wasn't sure what he wanted to do for fun. So they went and him and his wife decided to buy a UTV. And the dealer was talking up about a Euro Challenge race that him and his son could do together. We raced the Enduro Challenge and had a blast. We also continued through those annual events during Enduro Challenge races. I found Bonneville Off-Road Racing. He did his first race in 2019, has been passionate about it. Desert racing season ever since. Desert racing has provided him with the opportunity to spend quality time with his son and the camaraderie and challenges and a sense of personal purpose that he's missed since retiring from the Special Forces community, which makes complete sense. They now call it D&D Racing. If you didn't know, his son's name is Dave too, so it's Dave and Dave Racing. They derive from the number 909 by adding up my son's MX 733, my daughter's MX 9, and number my wife chose in her dirt bike 167 for the 2022 race season. They stepped up their game and challenge classes from the Sportsman UTV class to the UTV Pro NA class. He had to change his number from 909 to 1909 in the Mint 400 races. They were using U900. So they have a family-based business supported by family, friends, primarily local business sponsors. Him and his son race their career, Herman Draper, the UT Enduro Challenges, and then move into desert racing. Dave and his son were unable to attend a bunch of races due to his son being a current student at the University of Utah. I believe his daughter is also a graduate of the University of Utah. And so overall, the summary of his future is he's done 21 total races, 5 Enduro Challenge races, 7 Sportsman Classic, Bonneville Off-Road Racing Desert races, 1 Pro Turbo race, Endurance Desert race, 5 Pro NR BOR Endurance Desert races, 1 Red Bull Scramble, 2 Mint 400s, and then whatever looks forward to them in the 2024 season. So without further ado, Jenna, take it away.
Hi, Joel Maurer, founder of Dink Ninjas. Dink Ninjas was dreamed up and started right here in Austin, Texas, a dynamic pickleball community. We arm pickleballers with the paddles, apparel, and accessories to dink like a ninja. Dink Ninjas is dedicated to supporting mental health awareness and cancer research. Shop our full lineup at dinkninjas.com.
Hello, we are the MD and Chef team. I'm nutritional chef Michael, joined by my beautiful wife, Dr. Isabel, medical doctor and suicide survivor.
Yes, I was dropped into the world of mental illness back in 2013, and by the grace of God, I survived suicide. But here's what I learned. We don't have a mental illness issue. That's the downstream event. We're focusing downstream. We should be focusing upstream on our brain health and all the things that we can be doing to support our brain health. Because you see, it's like mopping up the floor when the sink is overflowing instead of turning off the faucet. So come and join us on the MD and Chef Team show.
Come join us.
Hey, Dave. Welcome to the
Nick.
show, man. Like we said before we started, it's been like a decade since we've seen each other. I think the last time I seen you was at your retirement ceremony there at group headquarters. So,
Oh yeah.
it's awesome to have you on the show, man. So, I got a couple quick ones for you. Like, what's the last book you read?
Come on, man.
What I thought you were going to come out with was a user manual of some sort when you put a motor together.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's what YouTube's for.
I have also found YouTube very useful to stop me from having to read too.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. So how did you get? I mean, we kind of read it off, but how did you get into this, man? Like it sounds like what you're doing is awesome, man. You're doing a lot of good stuff, but how did you get into it?
So, I mean, as you felt when you retired, like, what am I going to do? Like, what do I enjoy doing for me? Not for the unit, not for the family, but for me. I had no idea, dude. None. So me and the wife were hanging out, and I was like, oh, let's go to the shop where we bought a lot of the kids' motocross stuff. You know, when they were growing up running motocross, we knew the guys at the shop. So we went over there and we're hanging around bullshitting. And I'm like, oh, this looks kind of fun. This little UTV, we could go out and ride around with the family. So we talk about it, go out and buy it, come back. Kids were zipping around in it. We're having a great time. Well, they had said, hey, we run these races, these little short course enduro races, local. Why don't you grab Dave? You guys come out and race, and it'll be a good time. And I was like, oh, man. Because, you know, you read my bio. I was gone quite a bit when the kids were growing up. So I was like, oh, if I can do something with Dave, hey, man, I'm taking it. So me and him went and raced. We did one race. We're like, we're in.
That's all it took.
Oh, and the race is like 3 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. You know, they're short. You only do a couple of laps on this course. But yeah, we had, I don't even remember if we placed, but we got out. We were high-fiving like, yeah, we finished. It was awesome. And, you know, this is me and my boy, right? And so then as we go back to the shop, you know, and we're telling big stories about the race and all this, they're like, oh, hey, Bonneville Off-Road Racing is a local club that does desert racing. And I'm like, oh, man, that sounds kind of cool. Like, I didn't really, you know, we're Midwest boys. I'm not a desert guy. But I was like, yeah, it sounds fun. 200, 300, 400 miles for a race. Okay, let's see what happens. So talked to the wife again, end up buying a bigger machine that we were going to build specifically for racing. And that was 2018. And then I got it. We started building it. Dave couldn't really be involved. He was really in school, trying to get school figured out. So I grabbed a buddy of mine from work, and he'd co-pilot for me when Dave couldn't. Well, we did all this build up in 2018, 2019 to get the machine ready. Went out there, the first lap, we blew the engine. Just straight blew it up. I thought these things were indestructible, right? I didn't know. I had no respect for them.
How much did that cost you?
Fortunately, I had warranty.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So that saved me with that engine. Anyways. So anyways, we got started. We got a little taste. Me and my buddy got a little taste of the speed and kind of the endurance. And, we only ran about 75 miles maybe. But we were like, oh, yeah, this is sweet. Like, we got to get this fixed. So then I went to the Edge, the shop there in Draper where I was getting my stuff. And they hooked me up with the warranty and fixed the machine. I'm like, all right, well, what do we do to make it better? And this, and we replaced the cage and some other things. And so we built real hard for 2020. And then 2020, we're like, all right, we're going out. And we actually had a great season. I think me and Dave hit the first race, and I toned it way down. So the only goal in that race was to finish. And him and I did. And that was our first ever desert endurance race that we finished in that machine was with me and Dave. And we placed probably like 3 places beyond last. I didn't care. We finished. So we get into that. Dave kind of had a good time. We didn't jive too good right then. He was a little younger, and I was, how I am, Nick.
Oh, so those of you that don't know, Dave and I spent 2 years on an ODA together. We deployed to Afghanistan together. We got off a helicopter together and had a very enduring moment, if you will. Me more so than Dave. But I've known Dave for years. And a funny part of this is that Dave drives his machine. And the entire time we were in Afghanistan during a rotation, Dave was a 50 cal gunner and I drove. So the fact that you're driving now and the fact that I remember being on a PMT where I almost killed you, like Dave and I have had some very special moments together over the course of the 2 years that we were on a team together.
Oh yeah.
To say the least.
Yes.
I believe Dave at one point was my team sergeant and then became my 18 Fox and then was an 18 Bravo, 18 Fox. And for those of you who don't know, he ended up from here and then back. Then by the end of the rotation, Dave was back to running the team again.
It was that was a crazy rotation.
Some things that had gone on. But no one had been fired. There were some injuries. Some people had been shot. A lot of different things happened during that rotation that caused him to jump around. And I think that was probably, I had no idea how resilient, man, that you had to be to do that until I got to Oki and kind of face the same thing. And I applaud you for even staying on that team with us and enduring those 2 years of what you had to endure, man. So anyway, so you guys make it through your first race and you're obviously ecstatic because you didn't blow anything up and everything still works.
Yeah. But I lost my temper during that race because I tore off my entire skid plate. And so the skid plate's protecting all the drivetrain and everything else under that machine. And you know me, Nick, I'm like, hey, let's freaking go. I don't care. We're going to send it. So Dave's over there like, hey, Dad, like, take it easy. Let's just make the race. But I get in that mindset. And he kept talking me down. I was getting angry, and he talked me down. And then we finally finished. And he didn't really have the greatest of times, right? Because it was my fault. So then he didn't race with me for a little while. Not because he wasn't getting along with me, but just school and other stuff in his life was pulling him away. And then racing with my buddy, we were having a great time. We actually had some success in our sportsman season. And then Dave found a race, and he brings it to me. It's this little scramble, right? So it's a Red Bull scramble, just right a couple hours down the street in the sand. And I'm like, oh, my son is bringing a race to me. Like, I don't care what it is. He wants to do it with me. I'm in. So we go, and again, we don't do very well. The machine overheats. We had some problems. But now he's starting to get into it. Like, he's like, Dad, you got to take that corner. Dad, you got to do this. You got to, because he's my navigator. So his job is to tell me what to do, and it's my job to listen, which is kind of a role reversal for him and I, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So then we didn't really race too much more. We raced, I think, 1 more time, 2 more times maybe. And then we decided we're going to do this Mint 400 thing, right? So it's a big race out of Vegas. It's 400 miles. For the class we were in like the most beginner class, so only 300 miles. and they're 300-mile laps for our class. And so, like I said, keep in mind, me and Dave haven't really jived yet on the race course.
And you're doing 100-mile lap because it's only 300 miles.
Right. So we go, and again, I kind of lost respect for the machine because we had been doing so well that I didn't think about conserving the machine for the race. Because it's a long race. So we literally break everything. By mile 150, we only have low gear. We don't have reverse. We don't have high gear. We've got low gear, which for my machine is 25 miles an hour. So we bomb it at 35 miles an hour. So then we blow the entire front steering rack off. So then they got to weld that thing back on like 3 times. We tore the engine oil line, got to drain all the engine oil out into water bottles because we weren't prepared with a funnel and oil containers.
Oh.
So we're holding these melting water bottles, me and Dave.
The oil's just screaming hot.
While the mechanic's trying to get stuff and fix it. And so, because I've got some great dudes that come out and support me. We were on course for 14 hours. We were racing for 14 hours. We missed the closing finish line by 30 minutes because we blew a belt at the last 10 miles. So check this out, though. You're going to love this. Dave looks at me, and he's like, is that racing? I was like, yeah, bud, that's what you do. You got to overcome. You got to improvise. You got to think. You got to build and, overcome and keep moving. He's like, when's the next race, Dad?
Oh, that's cool, man. That's
bro.
That.
Yep.
And the years that you spent away, right? And you spent a ton of years away. That was a moment for you two.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So okay. So I guess my next question is that normal to just have things you're just abusing those machines to the point where like everybody's having that kind of breakdown stuff happen?
So just to put it in perspective, on average, 40 to 50% of the machines will complete a race. Just complete. That's not even placing. Just finish it. 40 to 50%. So it's a 50 to 60% attrition rate on the machines that bust so hard they can't be fixed.
Holy cow. So you're abusing these machines. Like is. I had no idea. That's why when I said in my first episode, I was like, Dave Barnes is going to come on. He's going to talk about this. And I don't know what the actual name for it is. So I don't want to call it a dune buggy racing, but
yeah.
You're just beating the hell out of that machine until it breaks, basically.
Yeah.
How far can you go till you can't go any farther?
Yeah.
Cannonball run, dude.
Yeah, 100%. And how much can your body take? Like we finished
what's
this year.
The abuse like that?
We finished this year in 9 hours, which we did finish this year in the Met 400. We got 9th in class out of 18, but we were in the car for 9 hours. We got out 2 times in 9 hours.
And it's in the desert, so it's extremely hot.
Yep.
And you're not hydrating, so by the time you're done, you're just smoked.
Mm-hmm. And then it's time for beer.
That's the Dave I know right there.
Yeah, baby.
That's awesome, man. So you guys are basically the team now. You and little Dave.
Yeah, he graduates next May. So I figure I've got him for the rest of this season, which will be 2 more races, maybe a couple early races next year, and then he's off to start his life. And it'd be awesome if he wants to be a part of it, and I'd love to have him, but you know how it goes when you're a young grinder.
Yeah, I get it.
You're working.
So you have 2 kids that have gone to the University of Utah.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, in fact, dude, so Erin graduated. She got an international studies degree, didn't really know what to do. She had gone to a fair at the University of Utah, found this little company that works with autistic kids. She's like, oh, I think I'll go do that. I've got a little soft spot in my heart for these kids. So she goes and works with these kids, probably 3, 4 to 11, 12. Loves it, dude. She's like an operator at the autistic level, right? Because she's teaching these kids social skills and how to maneuver the social waters. She loved it so much, her company paid for her to get her master's. So this girl was making like 20 grand a year. She goes and gets her master's in like 18 months, becomes a board certified behavior analyst.
A BCBA?
BCBA, baby.
You know how I know that? My wife runs 2 companies that she is a lead for. She is the lead BCBA for 2 different ABA companies in Northern Virginia.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
That's awesome. When we get off this, I will tell her what she's doing. That Jen will love that. That's what she's doing.
Dude, this girl, she gets bit, she gets pooped on, she gets peed on. She don't even care. She's like, that's all right. That's my little guy. Right. But the awesome thing, and you know me in education, right? I kind of made fun of college education, blah, blah, blah. Well, this girl goes and puts in the work, gets that master's degree, goes, takes her test, gets to be a BCBA, walks in with that piece of paper, right? Puts it on the desk. Her pay goes from 20 to 80 with bonuses. And I was like, okay, there's something to be said for that education. And the way we were as soldiers, Nick, the way that we had that passion and that drive and that love, and like it wasn't really a job because we're all together and we're doing what we love to do. That's her, brother. 100%.
It's funny you say that. That has to be a thing with that group of individuals, because Jen works 70 hours a week now running these 2 companies, and they pay her very, very well for it. But I'm like, you can't sustain what you're doing. Well, how do you know? Because I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. So like some days, some afternoons, she's just like, I don't want to do anything. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you anything different, because I know where you're at, right? Like I understand where you're at, but she's the same way. She'll come home with like bite marks and bruises, and I'm like, we cannot go out for a week because people will think that I beat you. Like we can't go anywhere.
Yep. You'll be going straight to jail, Nick.
We're not going. I just got those charges dropped and completely expunged, so I don't need to go back. Right? I've done that. I've played that game before. So that's awesome, man. I and growing up in group with you, and I always look to you as a mentor, and then knowing your family the way I do. I mean, and watching both of those kids grow up over the years, it's awesome, man, to hear. It's awesome to hear.
Thanks, brother.
So you guys growing up empty nesters. So the question is, who's going to be your right seat writer?
Well, the buddy of mine that was he's retiring, that was co-piloting for me before, he's in. So he'll come and work the pitch for me for the next couple races. And then whenever Dave has to step out, his name's Phil. Phil will step in.
You're not going to put a helmet on your wife?
So she's got her horses. So she absolutely refuses to do anything with that machine. No. Hey, Nick, if I asked her to do that, this is what I'd get right here.
That's awesome. Oh, you guys have not changed in 20 years.
No.
That's how long? You guys have been married, what, almost 30 years now, isn't it? It's got to be close.
We're coming up on, oh shit, dude. Yeah, January's 30. Come on, bro. I thought I was at 25.
That's awesome, man. What is Dave studying in college right now?
So he's doing business and information systems. So he wants to work financial technology, some of the business mapping processes. He's got a brain for the numbers.
Big money, dude. There is big money in anything IT related right now. Huge money.
Well, and this kid, he's been going to school since before COVID threw him a curve. But I mean, if you kind of shook up all the stuff he did and throw it on the table, he'd have like 4 degrees.
Really? So he was in school during COVID, so he had to play that game,
bro.
And I don't know how crazy you guys did.
Oh, we got crazy.
Utah got crazy. Huh?
He had to get vaccinated to go back to class.
Ooh. Well, yeah. I was doing a contract job, and so I kind of got the whole, you want to keep your job, you go get vaccinated, bro. So get it.
But yeah, I mean, the worst part, that obviously we didn't appreciate that part, but the worst part was he's an in-seat learner. He's not a virtual learner. So it took him like 2 years to recover academically.
Yeah. It makes sense.
So yeah, COVID did not do him any favors.
Yeah,
now, Aaron. Oh, go ahead.
Did she do her master's degree in? So I just finished my master's degree 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
I got an internship at Shenandoah University in August for strength and conditioning. So I'll work with the strength and conditioning coaches there, but I just finished mine. So I understand. So I'm assuming she did hers online, her master's degree.
Yeah, but she thrives in the online arena.
Versus Dave, who is probably more like us, who I hated it. I would have rather been in class, but it is what it is.
Yeah. But I mean, now he's going to be, whatever he gets into, he's going to be super well-rounded.
Oh, like father, like son. The apple don't fall too far from the tree.
Just, academic stuff, everything else.
Yeah, but it's crazy, man. When you think about all of this stuff that you learned over a 25-year career, especially that, 18 years or 20 years that you spent in SOF, like that, it blows my mind the amount of stuff that I learned and it retained. And I wasn't the smartest tool in the shed most of the time. I could sell a decent, I could bring back parts if you needed parts.
Bro,
I could go find
you always made it happen, Nick. Always.
My problem. There was a lot of other stuff I wasn't great at, but I could go scavenge the greatest stuff in the world for you.
Hey, man. I loved working with you.
That's awesome. I did too, man. Like I said, you've always been a mentor to me, man. And like, it's one of those things, like anytime I ever pissed you off, I was like, fuck, man, I just made dad mad. Like, that's how it was. Like, you were just that dude, man. And so to see that you're, what Aaron's doing and what Dave is doing, and that you're racing with Dave and getting to spend that time with him. And I know that you missed a ton of time with those kids growing up just because of your job and what we did. But that's awesome, man. So you guys got another year roughly of racing?
Yeah, I think we got till next May, June-ish together. And then he'll be, doing what we did as young pups.
Yeah, till he finds a job and he's like, Dad, I can't do it.
Yeah, right. Hey, you got to do it then, boy.
Yeah, man. I mean, and we all know the deal, right? Like he's gonna fly the coop, right? So I just had the conversation with my stepson, right? He didn't apply in the Air Force. You have to take a test to make rank. And so, I don't want to apply myself. I'd rather drink some beers with my buddies, and I would rather play video games with my buddies. Didn't study his first year, and that was the big E5 giveaway. And then the next year he applied himself, but he didn't make it. And the next year he applied himself. Well, now he's got buddies that are E5s getting ready to be looked at 6, and he's setting at E4 right now. So he figured out when he was in Korea, he left his computer behind and was like, I just have to study. So I'm pretty confident he's going to pick up that, but sometimes you just have to learn stuff on your own, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it's cool to watch him learn and grow too.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, dude. I'm sure that is.
Because Dave's come a long way. Because, he was a lot like us. He'd go burn it down, hit the bars, be like, class. Not now. That kid's focused. He's doing school classes now, or summer, just so he can graduate on time in May. On his own court. That's not me or his mom saying, hey, no, that's him saying, I need to do this.
Yeah, it's just, he just came to that realization on his own. And went, hey, man, I gotta step up to the plate here and get stuff done.
Well, it's crazy, Nick. Dave's 23 and Aaron's 27, bro.
Do you remember when those kids were like 5 and 8? Hold on. Here, let me put it to you this way, bro. Brooklyn Grace just graduated high school 3 weeks ago.
No way.
She's 19 years old. That make you feel old, buddy?
Hey, them kids get older, not me.
Remember when she was born?
Yes.
I believe there was a night that we came over to your house and she was a young child that I probably should not have driven home that night.
So many nights.
And I'm pretty sure that your wife told us both that very sternly the next time I was over at your house.
Yeah.
That
she
will
always
never
kept us
happen
in line. She always kept us in line, dude.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying that, man, and you're going to continue to do it. And you got to spend the last 3 or 4 years doing that with Dave, man. That's awesome, bro.
Well, it's been awesome, and I'll tell you some of the other things, and I'm not going to go off on a sponsor tangent, but I did get, so when I stepped up to pro, you know, I had to get some sponsors, you know, like this stuff ain't cheap, as you know, no good hobbies are. So I kind of went local first with some folks I knew and stuff like that. And so one company, Edge, they really took care of me. So I'm like, hey, what can I do for you? Besides, you know, marketing and the little bit of stuff I do. And they're like, hey, can you talk to us about resilience? And I'm like, I would love, like absolutely love to come talk to your guys about resilience. You know, like I haven't been a civilian. I don't know what civilians think, but I will give them my side of the story. And so I come in one Friday morning and like, I don't know, 7:30, whatever, their pre-work meeting. And I had some charts and stuff, and I just wanted to talk to these boys, and they're all pretty, like probably 25 to 35-year-old dudes. And so I talked to these guys, right? And one thing that I kind of pitched was, and it sounds bad, but it's a fuck it attitude, right? Like, oh, you want to take my child away? Fuck it. I don't care. You can't stop me. Oh, you want to take my sleep away? Fuck it. You ain't going to stop me. I was like, anything in life can be a fuck it. Like, hey, I'm going through this nasty divorce. Fuck it. I'm going to grind on and keep being productive. I'm going to make this work. Everything, right? Turn it to a positive.
And you've seen guys do that through your career.
Oh, yeah. And they just, I've been so impressed by some of the dudes that just like, I am in this super, super shitty spot, whether it's PTSD, whether it's marital stuff, whether it's drinking, like I'm going to fix myself. That head down, grind. The next thing you know, they pop out a fucking new dude. Right. And that gets me right here. So then I talk to these guys and they're straight civilians, right? There's no military in there. And at the end, they're like, they come up, I won't say to the man, but 70%. Hey man, I appreciate that. Like, thank you. Cause I was worried, you know, like I wanted my message to resonate with them and have an impact, but I wasn't sure, you know, I'm kind of pretty in the box military thinking guy. So am I going to resonate to these young guys? And I was like, bro, like you just made my day.
That's
like
awesome.
I just wanted to be here for you. And so, I mean, that was just one little thing, but it was cool to be able to give back in a way that I knew, or at least I thought I could have a positive impact on people. And that's neat for me.
Edge probably really appreciated that too.
They did. And I mean, they've asked me to come back. We haven't spoke again, or I haven't spoke to them again necessarily formally, but you know, I go see those boys every Friday. I throw them a huge barbecue after every mint for the last 2 years. And it's just good. You know what I mean? It's just feel like I can give back. Dave's there. Chris comes out. You know, all them boys are eating. I don't know.
Yeah, man, that's why I really started this podcast, man. And it was, you know, like having you on and then having Ben Razika on was awesome, man. And to listen to his story, and I don't know who all has watched that, but he basically he broke his back in Afghanistan. We were there in 2013, and he just never got better and had surgery, and the guy butchered him, and he ended up paralyzed. And what he has had to do and how he found art and is drawing. And he was just he just sent me a picture. When was that? 2 weeks ago. And his art was in a St. Petersburg, Florida, like gallery. Now he's got all kinds of gallery stuff coming, man. So just to hear like what guys are, that's what I wanted to start this podcast. Like, listen, man, especially for guys getting out of the military, like if you're lost and have no idea what you want to do, like these are some of the things guys are out there doing, right? This is what guys want to go do and making dreams happen and doing stuff like that.
Well, and really for those, you know, I since I get to work at 19th Group with these guardsmen, you know, and they're retiring, and generally they're a little older retiring because it takes them more time to build up that AFS to retire. But I'll be like, look, man, like first do your medical, take care of you, right? You got to take care of you. I said, and then when you get out and you leave and you're stricken from the roles, you are not going to know what to do for you. You're going to know what to do for work. Like you're good there. Work is easy. But what do you do for you to make you happy, to keep your mind right? None of us know.
Whoa. Did we just lose Dave?
Oh, am I still there?
Nope, you're still there. We're good.
And then just tell them, hey, it's okay not to know. But go look. Go play. Go find something that makes you happy.
Yeah, I fell into it, man. The greatest thing I could have ever done was went and played football. I did not know what I wanted to do. I was going to be lost. So going and playing that year of ball, man, it was to me I had a blast being 38 years old and playing college football with a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old kids was phenomenal. And I still have a ton of friends. I just went to one of our starting tackle's wedding a couple years, 2 years ago. He invited me out. We flew out to, I don't know where it was. It was somewhere in the middle of the Ozarks that we flew into and rented a car and drove down to it. So I made lifelong friends, man. I got a lot of those guys. And then I had to delete my Facebook and all of my social media. I just became a very toxic individual, man. And it was starting as I was getting out of the Army, and I think it just and I just dumped everything, man, walked away from everything. And in 2020, I bought 400 pounds in a rack, man. And now I have a monstrosity in my garage as a strongman gym. And I love the sport, and you can't blame anybody. I'm not on a team. If you can't lift it, man, you can't lift it. There's no, it's not, you want to blame. So the only guy you can blame is a dude staring back at you in the camera, in the mirror, whatever you want to call it. Right.
Yep.
That's the only dude you can blame. You can't blame anybody else. That stuff is all on you. And like, just like you, when you went to your first race, man, I went to my first event. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And bro, I enjoyed lifting heavy stuff. So that I just became, it just snowballed, man. So I understand where you're racing is snowballing, dude. But it's awesome. You're going to keep doing it. You and Dave got another year, and you're planning on not quitting at all. You're going to continue to go down that road and race as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the plan. I mean, that's something I look for, kind of like you look forward to your meets, like you have your whole building plan to get to where you want to be. I do the same thing with my car. You know what I mean? Like me and my mechanic, we sit down and we'll just stare at the machine and brainstorm and be like, hey, what about the oil? Hey, what about this? What about that? Should we change this? And I mean, it's cool because I'm not very smart on that. So like I'm learning from him, but then I'm the one that's out there on course breaking shit and running into shit and, whatever. So I'm trying to explain this to him like, hey, I'm doing this. And so we're kind of growing together and learning together about the race piece. I mean, he's an awesome mechanic and I'm probably maybe an okay driver, but between the two of us, man, it's just kind of fun. Like trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, man, that's like I decided to get my master's in strength and conditioning, not because I didn't want to have a coach or I didn't want to hire a coach, but for the same aspect of I want to learn how to program. And that to me is like these puzzle pieces. You're completely correct, man. Like, well, do I have too many hinging movements or do I have this or have that? Right. And so it's by putting those pieces together, man, just the more you do it, the more you're going to learn. And you're one of those guys, man, that is going to excel at that stuff. You're just, you guys are just brainstorming problems. Like,
well, so check this out, Nick. We have gone, I don't think we've ever had a race where we didn't break something. We just completed the mitt, and the only thing we did was blew one rear tire. 300 miles, run as hard as we could, one flat tire.
Well, that's a hell of a progression, bro.
Yeah. But I mean, that's all that. Just like you talk about your masters and your movements, like that was the same thing for us on the car and the driving and being smart. It all just, for once, came together. And we'll see what happens later, but this time it came together.
And I think that's what we need is guys, is we leave the regiment, right? When you leave the regiment, you're lost. You are constantly mission planning is not easy. It's easy, but it's not easy. We make it look easy, but it's not easy. It's because we've been doing it for years. So you find something that your mind gets into that you can consistently or constantly build and tweak and move. And hey, how can I do this better?
Yeah. Well, and the other piece is you go from all these dudes needing you, like a ton of dudes need you. They call you on the weekends. They need you. They need this from you. They're in trouble. They need that. Whatever. Nobody's calling you. Nobody needs you.
Phone is silent, bro. No one cares.
I mean, it's good because you don't get the DUI calls, but on the other hand, you kind of lose your sense of purpose, or at least I did, because I didn't have the guys to work for.
I miss the camaraderie.
Yeah.
I don't miss a lot of the other craziness that went on, but I do miss being part of that team. Yep. And those guys and what you build lifelong relationships doing that stuff, man. I mean, some of the stuff that you go through in that job is not, and then all of a sudden it just ends, bro.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that being needed at such a high level, like such a demand on you that you want it. You don't even know you want it because you've just accepted it for years and years and years and years. But then all of a sudden when it's gone, you're like, hey, that's gone. Like, just, hey, anybody need me? Like, I'm available. You can call me.
Well, your life goes from running 1,000 miles per hour to 10.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're like, how do I navigate this shit? Because I don't know how to navigate it.
No. Life hasn't been that slow for me in my adult life.
And that is a fact, right? You literally started at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Most of us did, and ran until we were, late 30s, early 40s to leave, and you've never known anything different.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that you guys. First off, it's awesome to hear about your two kids, man, and what they do. Jen will be ecstatic when I get out of here and tell her this.
Sweet, thanks, brother.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, the kids have raced. Chris has always been out there being the race mom. She still comes out and is the race mom for us.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, no, it's awesome. When she comes out when they're close enough for her to drive out and hit the race in a day, because it's not really a spectator sport. It's pretty dull for the folks in the pit. They see us like once every 3 hours.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, man.
Yeah. I mean,
you guys have been married for so many years and together, and she's out there to support you. And I think Jen does the same thing. I mean, I'm not running 9 hours, but you go to a meet and I'm constantly prepping for the next event and doing that stuff. And so she's there, but she's just like, she's kind of doing a little bit of this, like, what do I do?
At the same time, she's kind of there, like pushing you up a little bit, even though she might not be doing anything. She's kind of like giving you that, like, just that little glance. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yep. Correct. 100%, man. Hey, man, I'm glad you came on. It's been a decade since we've seen each other, man, and it's been way too long. And I'm glad that we got to have this conversation. So, hey, Dave, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for telling us your story. And if anybody wants to reach out to Dave that's thinking about getting into some kind of this, I have his email address and I will throw it in the description. But anyway, hey, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, man. Jenna, take it away.
Thanks for having me on, Nick.
Thanks, man.